welcome back to another season of The Shrine. Introduce yourselves.
Hey, my name is Bwana Nkoba Gisha.
Mukita Frank.
Don't finish.
Should be fun. Introductory spirits.
Eric Wedom, Topaz.
Fasting alcohol. But I'm called as one OSC.
These two are not going to be blessed by the ancestors.
Their conversation will not flow.
But today's topic is one that is not very contentious in Ugandan circles, which is very worrying. It should be very contentious. Our legislators should be kicking down doors because of this, but for some reason, no one cares. No one cares. And that is online data. Online data, your digital footprint. All this data that you put out every day, your likes, your videos, your orders on Jumia, your trips on Uber and everything. All this data is up for grabs to these multinationals and no one seems to care. For starters, are you on social media?
Yes, I am on social media.
Are you on social media?
Yeah.
Are you on social media?
Yeah.
Even.
Goes without saying.
Oh. Seems I'm the only outdated one.
You're already represented.
I will not. I'll cut that out. But
This is censorship, sir. I don't my views.
I know he's that's
censorship.
Yeah, you're censoring them, but
no.
We are here
But,
for freedom of speech,
It goes without saying that when the government is in a campaign and it's, what do they call them? It's bloggers in quotes. The Ugandan definition of bloggers is very scary because if Ashbag Kato is a blogger, then there's a very big disconnect.
I don't know the difference between a blog and a Facebook post. in Uganda,
But when it's bloggers in quotes, where their accounts were blocked, suspended, allegedly, because we still don't know. Well, allegedly, Facebook hasn't come out to issue a statement that they did.
I think
Did they?
Yeah, they
They did.
They came out and
I
said
did.
that they were running a disinformation campaign that was originating from the Ministry of Information Accounts. That was Facebook's reasoning for blocking their accounts.
Created a lot of dummy
I
accounts.
I
think
think they also said that these people were deliberately spreading the wrong information to change the narrative in the public, and they feel that for them as a company, they cannot allow that.
I see. So you can see that since I'm not on social media, I will not know some of these things. But okay. Well, all I'm saying is the government came out to threaten and whatnot on those grounds when they were affecting this. But when they're siphoning all this information away, it's nowhere to be seen. You've had all the allegations, safe border, Taxify, blah 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 blah. Why don't people care? I'll start with you. Nkoba.
I feel like people don't care because they don't know the extent of the database companies. I feel like that is the issue. Because so right now you make the argument that the country is allegedly in a social media shutdown,
Yes.
but somehow everyone is still online through various VPNs that they've been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you go to the targeting tools for Facebook advertising, they still work very well. So I can build VPN, I can set up an ad, and I can target you. And you, so my VPN will say I'm in Russia, your VPN will say you're in Slovenia. I've set my ads to run for Kampala, district, address 1635, blah blah blah. So technically, you should not be in the country to receive this ad. But so there are a number of ways Facebook tracks you. If you take a picture, right, with a smartphone, your picture comes geotagged. So every time you take a picture on a smartphone, it takes your latitude and longitude. So it means that this picture was taken here at this date and this time. And so when you upload that, Facebook reads this geotag. And another thing is Facebook does not just get your location based off your ISP provider, that's the masts you're bouncing off. It actually reads your phone's GPS data. So VPN and no VPN still know where you are. And I think that people don't, so that is those technicalities, the depth to which these people and these companies are tracking you, is what guys don't understand. Because once upon a time, people made the argument that even if SafeBorder takes my data, what data is it taking? But if SafeBorder knows where you're going, where home is, your most visited locations, where your concubine is, your side dish, yes, the argument can be made that it's offering you a better service, nearest traders, trying to optimize its operations, yes. But there's a real danger in someone having this much detail on you, especially given the fact that SafeBorder does not just enjoy your data alone, it sells it back to people like Facebook. Again, so people don't care because they're ignorant to the extent to which they are being monitored.
Let me ask you another question. You said something with all the geotagging and what's not. That metadata that comes with the picture and whatnot. Have you used YouTube with a VPN?
Yes, I have.
He has been caught on camera saying he uses VPN.
Peter was wrong. But can he prove it? Me, if you come to
No,
check
the
my
man
system-
said he has used VPN with YouTube. Yes. He didn't say now.
Now,
Okay.
because I don't want to see a drone in. Anyway, what
Panda Gari.
Panda drone.
Panda drone.
So, I was saying, when you use, I've heard allegedly that when you use VPN and on YouTube, the ads people are getting are like French and German and all that. So, how is that working for them?
Yeah, so it all goes back to who is setting the ads, right? So these guys have a shitload of information based off. So everyone has a digital footprint. Like on the web, I have gone here now because of me being Ugandan. First of all, my location and my interests and etc. Yeah, I would not be the target market for certain ads.
Cover.
I'm getting to that point.
Cut to the chase.
Okay, so the chess is because VPN essentially does redirect your signal. Yes, to a different server, unless you access the sites from that server point, not from the ones provided to here. It's a sort of end-to-end thing. So what happens is, if the person who sets up the advertising in Facebook or wherever, Google is, because you set up your advertising, these companies don't do it for you. They just give you like a dashboard. So if you're not skilled enough, right, to set the proper parameters and know how to read out these things, and you just set a blanket thing, it will also now, because you're now technically in a new network, because you're bouncing off someone else's server, it will also feed you the ad. It's not that Google and Facebook don't know.
But these are really big companies. You want to sell the people at these companies.
And that's the point, because they have the budget to spare. So the thing with big companies is they need a lot of impressions. So if I've given you my $200,000 for 1 month of advertising, I need numbers and I need interaction.
We are delving into another discussion. Frank, why do you think people don't care?
No, like you said, ignorance is bliss. If you don't know the danger you're in, even a pot of boiling water is a pool. But also, the ones who know the danger they're in are kind of stuck, like there's no way out, If I wanted to be on my own network, I would have to be very rich, I'm paying licenses to these mast owners. Basically, there are institutions that have to give me the permission to be able to call on my own network. If all my calls and all my internet traffic is going to be on my own network, it's very expensive. So even when you kind of have no choice. You have to talk to your boss, you have to talk to your girlfriend, you have to talk to your family. So you have to be on MTN, right? And of course, MTN is going to have information about you because of the phone and the SIM card they have in your phone. And if MTN has information about you, then of course Google has information about you. So it's kind of a lost battle. It's like we are forced either to be hermits, either a hermit or someone who's going to be tracked for your whole life.
Well,
but it's not, I'm not saying we should just surrender. Let's make some noise.
The way I look at it, as someone who accepted his fate, the way I look at it, it's like you're paying for a service in a way, and you know what people are saying. The product is free, then
you're the product.
So like at the end of the day, like if you want to access like all these Google services and WhatsApp and Facebook, and like there's a price there's a price you have to pay, realistically speaking.
Mm.
So I think a lot of people also recognize that, and okay, I recognize that. And
You don't say a lot of people.
yeah, yeah, but I also think, generally speaking, like, still like those privacy issues are really, really big issues in like Western countries, and you know, those Western countries tend to be like hyper individualized. Like individualism is like a very strong part of like their society. So like any breach of like their privacy, or what Americans like how Americans keep on parroting the First Amendment and all those things. So basically, like, it's a very hyper individualized society, but here in Africa, it's like not okay. I don't want to say it's we don't like consider the person important, but in a way, it's
More
communal. But in a way, in like the Western society, like the individual is more praised. Yeah, and so like that like permeates like everyone's beliefs in the whole society, like compared to African countries.
I see. Why do you think people do it?
First of all, for me, I think it is more economic than anything else. I think that in the ladder of development, we are not yet at the level where we care about things like privacy.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I think that these are not our top priorities. We are too busy trying not to starve.
Last time they told us the economy is
It's a very valid
The
point.
average man, his worries are about rent for the next month, about how to feed his family. I don't think his biggest worry is that somebody knows that he's googling X-rated content. He probably believes that way everyone else is doing.
It's a white man's problem.
These are white people problems. If you notice, even if you go back 100 years in America, I don't think their biggest worry was that people will know what he's wearing.
No, but that wasn't there then. That's what we are saying. We
Okay,
shouldn't
But
wait.
now, as I was still making my point,
Sorry.
when you were introducing, you said that maybe the legislators should be worried and they don't care. Actually, there's a law. Maybe hardly anyone, people hardly mention it or cite it, but it's there. It's the 2019 Data Protection and Privacy Act. It was passed in 2019, but up to now, I haven't really seen it. But you see, for a law to work, people have to be interested, people have to accept it as part of their daily life.
And enforce
But
it.
for us here in Uganda, I can see that data is collected one to one. Nobody really cares. Everywhere you go to a bar, for instance, according to that law, it is illegal for somebody to record you, for instance, in a bar. Because that is the place that you would prefer to be private. You're going to be there. Some of you are in the habit of kissing girls from there.
some of you, sir.
So you don't want people to know, to see such things, to collect that data. But nobody asks you to consent, for instance, before entering governor. Nobody asks you to consent to be recorded while you're in there, but you do. But you go in there, you record it. And also because the majority of people have chosen to ignore it. If you refuse, then you're going to miss out on everything.
True.
Because, for instance, you want to use an app like SafeBorder, but you're worried that it's collecting your data, but you need to move from here to there conveniently. You need to call the guy and he comes and picks you up from your gate. But you have to give that up.
Exactly.
Law is there to protect people, but also for laws to work, people have to be willing to follow them. But I've never even had anyone being prosecuted for illegally.
Under what law was this guy who was sending love messages to the MP prosecuted?
Yeah,
Oh,
by
no,
the way.
that one was a different law. It was
Cyber harassment.
cyber harassment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cyber harassment.
It was the Computer Misuse Act.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, is it the same?
No,
No,
acts
no,
are two
that-
different.
No, I'm saying, is it the same one Nyazi was prosecuted?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the one.
Oh, I see. Everyone says, okay, at least these two said we don't know the extent. I want all of you to give me a scenario, like a worrisome scenario, where what someone can do with your data. Starting with each group. What?
There are very many examples.
Give me one.
do you want me to
the
give
one
you-
that's
So what's
the worst for you.
On an individual level? or-
Yeah, on an individual level.
Ah.
Okay, no, not on an individual level.
I cannot report myself.
Even at a societal level.
The Constitution gives me a right not to incriminate myself.
And then society.
Let's make use of my rights.
Societal level, sir.
Well, like if you go back to the reason why Facebook suspended these guys' accounts, yeah. If you get someone who knows how to harvest this data properly, like the whole Cambridge Analytica thing. Actually, people think Cambridge Analytica only played out in America, but it also played out in Kenya as well. There were,
Yes.
Kenya was an active
Jubilee.
client. Yeah. It was an active client state, so you will have, the way our parents see someone make a artist on WhatsApp. He was burnt charging his phone and texting at the same time, and then next thing you hear, this man is a, you know, like all sorts of propaganda can be spread about you. And the systems that are in place could allow this propaganda to be targeted towards the people that are most likely to believe it. And the problem with truth in our modern society is truth is basically an agreed upon fiction. Like if we have all agreed that this is the truth, it becomes true. It doesn't necessarily have to be true. So I think that is, if you look at misinformation, disinformation, what type of decisions are you making? This has actual real, you know, impacts. If someone says that taking loans constantly to pay things like salaries by a government is sustainable, and they write some whatever bullshit paper and some pseudo intellectual in Makerere University reads it, you'll have, you know, and then you have these ideas embedded in people's mind. They become ministers of finance, governors bill you the next day, and 30 years down the road, we're asking what happened to the economy.
To me, I'm going to use how I imagine the world is going to be as why people should be concerned where their data is going. If really we are moving towards a world where it's like data that is informing the structures that are set, the systems that are in place, the kind of life you live. You know, if really with time my home is going to be telling me when I need to be eating, depending on the kind of sickness I have because of the bowel movement I had in my toilet last night, I should be worried, because that means whoever has the most data is the one who's going to manipulate my life. Mostly if I've just given it to them freely, mostly with things that they can use to manipulate me. Right now, of course, I'm a nobody, right? But let's say you don't die tomorrow. One day you'll be something that is in someone's way, you know?
If a drone doesn't pick you first.
And someone who has access to all this big data that is being collected. If that person decides to fuck with your life, as in, they may be an enemy you don't even know. Like they'll be manipulating you from behind the scenes. Before you think, my life is going on normally, but someone is literally manipulating how you live through your phone, through this so-called app you have that is telling you how to live healthy, you know?
True.
So if you consider that, if I'm going to be swiping my phone at different businesses and then money is just removed from some sort of maybe credit account I have, then that means society is going to be running on information. It already is, by the way, which is why many leaders invest heavily on information collection. So you do not want someone to know your fetishes when you're the chief justice of the country. It is not good for you, because they will squeeze you. You no longer have sovereignty in your life. People will be like, that guy is chief justice, but at night someone just tells you, remember when you did this?
The one was caught on camera licking earlobes.
You get
Please account for the ears you are licking.
As for the legislators, they should just try as leaders. Like, I know in Africa the whole thing has lost meaning. I'm a leader, let me make dime, ball, get as many loans as I can. But if you're in a position where you need to make sure people know what they are dealing with, because we may say yes, it's inconsequential, but people actually don't know.
True.
You know, most people don't know. Like, they're just, let me use this app. You know, it's cover. And actually, what he was right about, even if you're on VPN, if an app or your network has access to your GPS information, even if you're on VPN, it doesn't matter.
True.
Yeah? So why your signal is now bouncing off some cell tower in France, but your information is going straight to MTN. Yeah, this guy is around. You get it? The control. Let's assume it's true that there's no really rich person. At the end of the day, the bankers are the constant 1% elite in the world. It means those are the ones who actually have your data. It's not here. There's a distribution of this data going on that, let's say, if we collected data from 40 million Ugandans, that they will all have access to this information by request, which is the Access to Information Act, which, by the way, in the Ministry of ICT, they can never allow to get tabled. it's not the case. It will be the few who have access to such information. So it's, if you're not okay with being manipulated, you should not be okay with just giving away your information like that. Yes, I know it's a necessary evil, but at least we should at least work towards balancing these companies out. Like, if the problem is, as an IT company, I need money to run, so I have to sell the data, then the legislation should be put in place, the policy should be put in place that these companies can run without having to sell people's data. That's just what I think of.
You put an abstract solution, but we shall get back to you on
So
that.
then that just
What is
means,
your-
like, okay, I feel like for people, like, the biggest problem is that there's just like that right to privacy. Like, you don't want like
Yes.
people. So I don't think the nightmare scenario is that like someone can use it to like
but you see,
radicalize you. Or I feel like it's just that that
No,
natural
let me
right
put
to
it this
privacy.
way, right? 90% of people live unremarkable lives. A large percentage of people live remarkably unremarkable life. Like, there's nothing special or unique about us. Fair enough. You wake up, you have a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
like, and your data only runs to for advertising. Like, they give it to guys who want to advertise. But you see, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers, right? So right now, your data works in a certain way, advertising. But what it's doing in the back of your head is it's building a trust relationship between you, the one consuming these recommendations, and the platform giving it to you, right?
Yeah.
So you trust Google to give you results because you've used Google to give you results before.
Yes.
It becomes a sort of self-feeding cycle, all right? And you trust the results given from Google. So the reason you don't trust Wikipedia is because, you found it can be rebuked, but everyone has that one site or something. So I'll name a couple of journalists that, I read and I take them as gospel truth. Even if they lie to me or not, I'll not be aware because I have this bias in my head that they already, I trust them.
Yes.
So these platforms have a sort of built-in trust bias they're building.
Yeah.
So even if they don't need you now, okay? But as long as over time they've built this sort of trust bias within your head, that relationship you have with them, all right? The day they want to sell you bullshit, all of you, like, you're unremarkable, I'm unremarkable, he's unremarkable, he's unremarkable. But the day they want to sell us one critical piece of information that is going to fundamentally affect how decisions are made at a national scale, all right? We all already trust them. And they know exactly how to say, when to say it, and how to, and the way to deliver it to get us to believe. Not because of the fact that already we have this history of, man, this guy has never led me wrong. So you see, I found out after COVID that in actual sense, the prices of safe borders on the app are more or less the same prices you'd get from a border just going by, not a stage border, like just moving on the road. But the reason you think that safe border is cheaper is because it has told you time and time again, I am cheaper. It gives you incentives with discounts, and you're like, this must be cheaper.
And that's no longer true.
But that's not the case by far. It actually isn't. But in your head, you still think it is because they've built that sort of relationship with you. And that is where the actual danger comes
What
in.
is your nightmare scenario?
No, me.
He was quite privacy.
No, okay.
You're saying,
Okay, I really
it was
don't.
replied.
Okay, because I think Frank had did it before, like, and also did. Okay, the like unremarkable one. So there are some people who are like really, really important to like society, and then there are others who are just going by their daily lives. Like for me, like for example, like I won't feel currently I won't feel like Facebook is going to take a special interest in me, because also there are things that most people think there is someone sitting behind a computer reading like all that information about you, but it's all algorithms doing that. It's not like they put people to mine all that data and like analyze. It's just algorithms. Maybe if someone wants to like get that on you, they can.
Yeah, but that's
With the
the
algorithm,
danger we
yeah,
are seeing.
but
The day you become relevant,
Yes, but
they can find it.
yes, but that's but you see that's an if also. It's like not something like set in stone. So like if someone is like drinking alcohol every day, you know that inevitably their liver is going to fail. So it's like not. That's what I'm saying. I feel like for most people, the biggest issue with this is because it violates their privacy, and people don't want other people to like know to like infringe on their privacy. It's just that it's just
So basically,
which is
For
okay.
what cause? To sell ads. That's the sad bit.
No, I think what he's
To
saying
sell
is that
ads.
we feel naked.
But
Basically.
they're not just selling ads though. That's the thing. They're not just
I feel
selling
that's
Face
the, I
value,
feel that's the
face
issue
value.
for like that's why it's like gaining a lot of traction,
Also,
No,
what's,
let me
what's
just-
your nightmare scenario?
which is
No.
okay.
It appears to me that most people's nightmare scenario is around personal privacy. Mine is far from it. My bigger worry, first of all, I think that the human being is a hackable being.
Yes.
I believe a human being can be hacked,
Mm.
and that with all this information about you, that a person can actually control how you think and how you will react,
Exactly.
Yes.
what you will discuss tomorrow, what you will think about before you sleep. For me, that is my biggest worry. That right now, as where the world is heading, the world is becoming a global village, discussing the same issues every day.
Exactly.
And I think we're going into an era where corporations are going to be way more powerful than government. It is going to become inevitable. Right now, corporations are more
Already
powerful.
are.
The likes of Facebook are more powerful than many governments.
They silenced a president.
Exactly. So I think that these people, you see, we have to, because now we're giving them too much trust, because this is so much power for anyone to wield, and so we have to question their intentions, how pure their intentions are. For now, it looks like it's just advertising. But if somebody has the capacity to control how I think, then that really scares me.
What shoe I buy
What
tomorrow?
what shoe I will buy tomorrow, which sport I will be interested in, which player I think is the best in the world.
Yes.
Right now, if two kids have an argument about who is the better player between Ronaldo and Messi, chances are they will go to Google,
Yes.
and that is the opinion they will hold. But unfortunately, it won't be just that. Another day it will be a decision. For instance, the other day it was a decision on whether to attack the Capitol Hill. You know, that targeted advertising. For instance, that not even targeted advertising, but I don't know if you've noticed that everybody's Google, the news that comes on your
The news
is different.
Yes.
So these Republicans, the white people who support Trump, most of them, I'm sure, have been reading Fox, and they honestly believe that this election was rigged, even if there's no evidence. But this is what they believe because they've read certain newspapers, certain tweets from a certain guy who says that the thing was rigged.
But
So if
But
if
can't
they
you-
can make if they can make all those people,
But can't you
they can make all those people
can't you
attack
make
the
this
US
argument?
Capitol, tomorrow it will be worse.
Yeah.
Can't you
Tomorrow
make
you
this
can
argument?
you can find all those people going to slaughter someone.
Yes.
Tomorrow it might be making them going to hack someone to death. So for
Can
me
this-
that is what scares
Can
me.
this argument be made, right? Because the same guys that they targeted, said we're targeting Trump supporters and they think the election was rigged.
Mm.
But you forget that for the 4 years Trump was president, yes?
Mm.
The liberals on the left were the ones who thought that the election was rigged and Russia was coming and it is terrible. The man has a video of a Russian prostitute pissing on him and surely he's in bed with Putin and he's being manipulated by Putin.
Mm.
So both sides of the aisle.
It is still the same problem.
Yes,
It's
it's
the
the
same
same
problem.
problem.
Demonstrates
But
the-
yeah,
it
yeah, but-
demonstrates the same
That's why
problem.
he's saying corporations.
No, what
over
I'm saying is
governments.
this.
Yes, that's why I'm exactly.
No, what I'm saying
that-
is this.
Can these corporations be trusted?
No, hold on.
Yes.
Because of the echo chambers being created,
Mm.
wouldn't the existence of two polar opposite echo chambers
Mm.
sort of try to cancel each other out?
No.
Not really. Not really. Not
I
really.
don't think so.
Not really.
I think
Because the
Americans
tools
are
in
best
warfare.
When they meet,
Right.
they want to kill each other.
Yeah, no, and even in warfare,
Mm.
if
But
I'm
you're sharing
using
the tools.
spears
Mm.
and you're using a machine gun, like
Mm.
it's
No,
an
but you
unfair
see,
fight.
here in
These
warfare,
people, the algorithms.
listen, in
What-
warfare,
what-
all right, we're
Mm.
both using Google and Facebook's tools for
Mm.
that particular example.
Yeah.
Meaning you have a spear, I have a spear. The same spear you have was made
No.
by the same guy that's
This is what also he was saying. Like both of us are just being more polarized. You understand?
Yes.
More being fed with more conspiracy
propaganda,
theories.
depending
To be
on where
honest,
we
it's
align.
not like it's as in people also have like a role in what they're being fed. Because if I'm a liberal, I'll only want CNN, I want MSNBC, only want liberal sites. If I'm like a conservative, I
No,
only
my
want
worry is
like
that
those.
you don't even have to go to CNN anymore. The moment they realize you're liberal,
and you like
the
CNN.
app will keep sending you stories that
Actually,
that reinforce your belief.
yes,
your
but
biases.
that is what you want. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
People want
Not
confirmation
necessarily.
bias.
Not necessarily.
People
It's not
don't like when
necessarily
their
what you
views are
want.
challenged.
Necessarily.
It's not necessarily what you want because
necessarily.
But
what you want is
That's what-
information.
Yeah.
No,
I think
what
what
you want
I-
is something
what I
that
want is
aligns with your narrative.
I'm more likely
That's how
to
it
click
is.
with what aligns with my
Mm.
narrative.
Yes, what I'm
But
saying.
it
I
doesn't
prefer the
have.
truth.
That's
Yes,
why,
but
but
you see-
you know, most
Mm.
like if of course there are people who are not like very radical, like the people who are like open to debate, but a very large number of people.
Okay,
Like in America
radicalized,
right
yes,
now, I
that's
know for
true.
sure. You can't find a liberal reading like Fox News because
Yeah,
in his
also,
head,
but I think
If
it's
over
a
5
business.
years, they've managed to turn people from kill the gays strategically
Yeah.
in movies. What
Yeah.
if over 5 years they've managed to turn people from kill the gays
So
to
these are amazing.
yes,
people.
these are
wonderful.
yeah,
people.
love wins.
No,
Mm.
but
So even this, if you feed me the truth, maybe eventually
And I know.
I'll break
But
out.
you know,
but
of
that's
that.
a different argument because
But
some of the
you-
reasons
but
why
you-
people change their
But you know, I
positions
agree
to
with
adapt
Nelson,
to
yeah?
progressive stances
I think
because
my big
it's now commercially
No, but you
viable for them to
but you
do
know-
that.
but
I
you
think
know
the
why I
bigger
love
worry
Nelson,
is
yeah.
that somebody has the capacity to do that.
Exactly.
Can we trust that person?
Yeah, but
Mm.
my point is that you as an individual also have a role to play in that. Like
Of course,
it's
of
your role
course.
as the individual to
course.
question.
Yeah.
not
And that
just-
is why the
not just
That's the
saying
premise of the
information.
that's the
of
point
the
of
session.
today's session. Why don't Ugandans
You need to
care?
Why
care.
don't we care?
You need to start
My-
caring
my
because
nightmare scenario. I thought anyone would hint on it since all of you people like watching movies.
Mhm.
Skynet, Matrix.
But that's what I was telling you. The
Why-
future
This guy-
is,
No, now-
is such civilization.
No, like, there you're talking about like AI taking.
Yes, because these
which
are
is a very-
algorithms.
But that's
These
not
are
algorithms.
to be
algorithms.
honest, right now is a very far-fetched.
That is
No,
what
no,
you're
it's not
saying. That
far-fetched.
is what
I'm
you're
saying
saying.
right now at this
We are
moment.
heading
Benson,
in a
it's
direction.
not.
All the
Because
chess masters
half
have
the
been
web
beaten
apps
by
you're
AI.
using
Yeah.
are just running on AI.
Yes.
Half the web apps. you're using.
Inevitably, these
You
AI are
get
going to
it?
take our jobs.
But so
Very
if you
true.
start walking along this road,
Mm.
going in the other direction,
Mm.
inevitably you will end up at agenda. True or false?
Mm.
True.
So
And right
if
now
you're
we're
on the
better.
road, yeah, don't say it is still far.
It is still far.
You're on the
It's where
road.
you're going. You
It's
can
where
see
you're
it.
Yeah, where we are right
I said
now,
we cannot-
Muhammad Ali has beaten Sonny Liston and he's on the way to what? To becoming the greatest boxer of all time.
Yes.
But when you are saying, no, just one win, just one win.
AI is going to take many jobs, but whether or not it's like going to like subjugate us, that's the debate we're
No,
now.
but you see, that's
True.
also raises
True.
another
But
point.
no, I was saying my nightmare scenario.
Mm.
Even you
Okay,
said
yes. Okay,
you are
true.
we are unremarkable people. Maybe you will
Has
not
anyone ever
become
heard of the
a
story
powerful
of-
person.
Hold on, has anyone ever heard of the story of Microsoft once built a self-learning AI?
Yes, the bot which they put on Twitter
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people taught it to become racist.
Yeah, so they built this self-learning AI, okay, and they set it free into the wild of the internet.
Mm.
And after 4 hours, 6 hours,
It was learning swear words.
no, it came. Leave the man of swear words. It came back and said Hitler was right. Fuck these Jews, and all of the rest of you guys need to die.
No, me what the
and
one I
that's
saw.
what he's saying because
True.
at a certain point you have to realize that
Mm.
in the way a machine thinks, or logically 1 + 1 is 11, is not the same way a human being thinks, and we're fucked up. To be fair, none of our actions actually make sense on any.
Yeah, I think human beings are largely irrational beings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if an AI comes and is reading through all this data and it's like,
I remember an example.
These guys just need to be erased.
They are the problem.
This is the problem.
Human beings live in a lot of myths.
Mm.
I remember an example given by Yuval Harari where he said that, you see, we like to think so highly of ourselves as human beings, but he gave an example of the monkey, that you may not be able to convince a monkey to give you his 2 bananas, while by promising him several bananas in monkey heaven. But for a human being,
It's what you eat works.
Yeah.
It actually
Banana
works.
feeding place says, yeah, I'm waiting for my bananas.
In monkey heaven.
Sugar candy mountain.
No, that's
But actually, another scenario, Dean. I think it was
Cover.
first. Sorry,
Mm.
I think it was Google or Facebook, one of those big 3.
Mm.
They built an AI
Mm.
and it taught itself like a language.
Mm.
Made
Oh, yeah,
its
that-
own
they
language.
had those
Yeah.
2 AIs that were talking.
Let me
And
Yes, actually, yeah. They
Yeah.
got 2 AIs to talk,
To con-
and they got their own language,
Language.
and they had to shut it.
because they had no idea what was happening.
Yes, they had-
But
they had no
definitely
idea.
they didn't shut that down now. Why would you shut that down, that
in
project?
quotes, in quotes, they shut it.
Because it's in the CIA lab somewhere.
Of course, they're waiting for North Korea to fuck.
Because it is undeniable that these AIs are doing things better than us. Most of the jobs we're doing now can be done better by an AI.
Yes.
In the initial industrial revolution, machines came through, but they did not threaten our jobs because they still needed human beings to run them. Time is coming when they will not need human beings. Let me say truck drivers. Driving a truck, when a human being drives a truck, do you know I think 80% of road accidents are caused by human error.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so I think also it won't be so bad. This AI is a thing. But
Of
there
course.
could be some good from it.
Of course.
If
But
we can trust
the
it,
problem
what
is
No, no,
like
no.
humans-
So it depends
Also-
what's taking over. Are we meaning like they
if we
become
can
our
try the
overlords?
corporation, that's what? That makes this AI.
Also, they just need relevant data. You get to train a car to drive. I just need to give it data of
No.
driving use cases, right?
Actually, as
There's no
before-
need for
as
you to
the-
be collecting when I'm showering. I'm
Exactly.
singing this
Exactly.
jump. You get
I saw
because
it
the
this
AI
that
will,
can be useful.
the AI
Now
will
let me
type.
paint you a picture.
Mm.
Same for the car.
Mm.
That's there.
Yes, it's there
Yes.
already.
Volvo and
Yeah,
Tesla.
it's just that they're not on the road yet.
Yes.
They're not on normal roads yet because there's some
Yeah.
crucial part missing. What is missing is, for instance, there are certain things that have not yet been fitted in the technology. There are certain things that need human beings. For instance, because when the way an algorithm works is that if you program it to do something a certain way, it will always do it the same way exactly with mathematical accuracy. So, for instance, if I'm driving on a highway and a child crosses the road, I will take a decision on whether to hit the child or to try to swerve and flip over and die myself. You get? So what will you put in the algorithm for the AI? Will it be to knock the child or to flip over and kill the owner?
Yeah, but
Because if you program it to flip over and kill the owner, it will always do that with mathematical accuracy each time
Yeah, but you
the
see,
child jumps on
what
the
they're doing at Volvo and Tesla is they're teaching them to make a judgment call.
You can teach it to choose the best scenario out of that
yeah,
situation.
But
Yeah.
but
that
I think
is
we
still in
approach
the
it
lab.
through
Yeah,
testing
It's
it.
a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm-
it's
that's
a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
work.
Still need the ethical
and the-
component when you're
But no,
programming.
exactly,
Yeah.
because
Just
I
trying
heard
to-
of these
Because
self-driving cars that even couldn't see black people.
but you see now the
I think
problem
they were
is
trained on
the problem
only
is
white people.
the problem
They
is
couldn't
now you
recognize-
Kenny, you and I Kenny. What do we call the correct judgment call? You said that they have been trained to make a judgment
Exactly.
call. What is the
I'm
correct
saying.
judgment call? Flipping over to kill them.
Now that's a philosophical question.
Yes.
Because
No, no,
if
which
there are
one is
five
the
if,
correct
if there are
one?
five people this side, and
Yeah.
it's basically
No, it's not-
utilitarian
No, it's not. It's
philosophy.
not. You don't.
No,
you don't.
I've
You
been in a
don't.
case scenario of
Yeah,
the owner of
actually.
the car and the child.
Also,
Yeah.
you don't train it to choose one or the other.
No, you're saying
You
that
train
make
it
a
to
correct-
get out of that corner.
No,
No,
but
yeah,
if
yeah,
it's in a situation
it is
whereby knocking
150
someone is inevitable,
kilometers
per
that's
hour.
right.
Yeah.
The child
And
has
now you
rushed
see,
into-
a child
you
just
see, even you,
jumped
as,
into
even you as a human being, if you're in a scenario whereby there's no way out, you're going to fuck up. It's the same thing with
No,
AI.
you
Yes,
see,
so
they are
do
trying
you
to
how will
feel
you fuck up?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
whose life do
Because
you
how you
feel
fuck up?
But see, this
Because
is
what
the argument they made.
Dean considers a fuck up is not what I consider a fuck
No,
up.
this is the
Yes.
argument they made that when programming AIs, right? Because it comes like a newborn child, it's just a blank slate. The issue comes with the person programming it, because you have to program it with your own innate beliefs, biases, and
Exactly.
behaviors.
Exactly.
The thing I was talking about where the cars driving could not see black people because they trained them on white people. That seems like a small issue, but if the person coding this code, this is, let's say, in his free time at midnight, he wears a hood and goes and burns crosses on guys' lawns, and he trains an AI, what do you think that AI is going to think of you?
Well,
Because the AI is not trained from nothing; it's trained from data.
But however, let us not ignore the good that this could do.
yeah, that is good,
Yeah.
but
For instance, you've seen IBM Watson.
Mm.
IBM has created an AI doctor that could revolutionize medicine forever.
you know what?
Your human doctor can forget certain things.
Yeah.
Even if you have a doctor that has been treating you ever since you were a child, there are things he will forget.
Yeah.
But this AI doctor will know for sure which ailments you've suffered. It will know which one you're likely to suffer tomorrow. It can predict based on the pattern. It can study your cells. It can, but all this information in the hands of a corporation. Can we trust this corporation?
And
No,
you know,
that's
what scares me, you guys.
Mm.
Now that we've been certain people have been using VPNs. I was on someone's phone and I logged into a certain app, and they had to give me, like, I use this app almost every day on my phone. But when that person turned on their VPN and I used it, they were asking me all these permissions, and I'm like, every day I use this app in Uganda. They don't ask me for anything. But now they're saying, please read our terms. We are
No,
going to
because
do
you
this.
see,
They're giving me, because the country the VPN was putting me in was in Europe, and they were giving me all this. I'm like, I use this app.
Meaning,
every- They
previously,
don't care.
They have been taking it.
Yes, for Uganda, I think they're like banned.
There's no accountability.
Yeah,
There's
let's
no
just
right.
harvest.
There's no call for
Harvest. And by the way, we are going at a high level. We are going at a higher level. But even at a low level, these organizations, say NSSF, NSSF has a lot. I think everyone who works, NSSF has their data.
Then, yes.
You understand? So if I was unscrupulous, because they're humans.
I mean,
No, you
data
can use that
collection
information.
it's
You can know. For
inevitable.
instance,
Like
the
the
data
government
NSSF
has
has
to
is
ask
actually
for
right
it.
now already being used. If they know
No,
that you,
that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not saying that stop data collection.
Yeah.
We are saying let it be looked at, like,
Regulated.
regulated,
No,
and
let me use Oswan's example. Doctor, an AI doctor. I don't need to go and train that AI about a guy's skin color. What I just need that AI to know all the use cases on all sorts of illnesses. You get it? So some of these companies, why are we allowing them to collect certain information? Okay, you've come into my country. You say you want to operate as an IT company. So I have to give you the guidelines that, okay, if you're getting data on this guy's map, of how he moved. I get. But I don't understand why you're getting his recordings.
Exactly.
You get. I don't understand why you're getting his record. You get that. That makes no sense. Because even if you're telling me I want to program a car which can drive itself, then you just need the data of how of when I was driving. Maybe my phone is somehow connected to my car. That's all you need. I need to regulate you. Otherwise, you just.
That if this AI can know that I'm likely to have a heart attack next week, this information can be given to my enemy, or that I am prone to heart attack.
You
That
understand?
if I eat peanuts, it will cause a certain reaction that might cause me to die.
But why is the calendar recording videos of me? And
Exactly. If they
Where
know
is
that,
my calendar?
if they know that I've received some emoluments from NSSF, then guys come to me with adverts of land that you get. The government tell me, man, they know that I've received maybe 150 million from NSSF. That's the same day a guy comes telling me, man, there's this land in
Exactly.
Gaza.
Is
Only
there
80 million. You even have a balance.
exactly like Chihugu and Frank? It brings about the question of free will and the question and the notion of free will.
Freedom ain't free.
Shall we? We tell ourselves we are free. Okay, we are free. We are
You
free.
bring your
Understand.
question.
But now with with them harvesting our data randomly like this,
So,
shall there be any free will?
Freedom will be a
Because
lie.
so the human mind suffers from something called cognitive dissonance. I'm sure everyone here knows what it is.
Yes.
You believe that Bwana Yesu died and rose from the dead. Hallelujah. But at the same time, when a one Bisaka tells you that also me, my chap died and he's about to rise.
I'm also an OG.
I'm also an OG. This is a big problem for you. And yet, you're both in the same boat. Really. That's
Same story,
it's
same
the
height.
same story, just different skin color of the main actors. That's all that's happening here.
Yeah.
So if you have two contradictory positions, yes, your brain does this thing whereby it is deliberately hypocritical to preserve the one that it already believes is correct, so that it preserves its integrity, so that you can still tell yourself when you look in the mirror, I am brilliant.
This is the story.
I am a genius. When these things Trump wakes up.
Despite evidence to the contrary.
Despite evidence to the contrary, you're able to tell yourself, she's a frontline commander. So if you bring AI into this mix, alright, all AI needs to do to run a disinformation campaign on you is not even to hide the information from you. It just needs to package it in a way that will trigger your cognitive dissonance. Whereby the one Bisaka case, like, can you note that a religious leader has died and this is his followers' belief? Because if I tell you this guy has died and his people believe X, Y, Z, to Christians that's not an offensive statement. But if I come and I tell the Christian, God has died, he's called Bisaka, and he's going to rise again, that becomes an offensive statement.
Yeah.
So the whole point of free will in an AI-induced era runs back to some of the inherent biases built into the human mind, and the fact that AI does not suffer from these biases,
But it has learned how to use them
but it has learned how to use them.
against humans.
Means that yes, before free will was a sketchy subject, like we're really fighting for it, but now under such an environment,
It
We
becomes
are
a
lambs.
myth.
We are
It
sheep.
becomes a myth.
We are sheep.
you're a sheep,
always-
you're the shepherd, you're being herded. Have you read the book called
So,
1984?
yes, I'm right.
I think everyone.
Jojo.
I haven't read it.
No, you should. So basically, the book, for those that are not aware, it basically
Big Brother.
Big Brother.
Yeah.
Basically, but if you read through the book, right, even the guy that was trying to secure people's freedoms and secure their future, and the guy that was trying to liberate them, at the end of the day, he found that even the Chane that had set a fire in him and told him about freedom and all these sweet things, even his boss, they were actually all in the same sort of scam. And the people, so there was one thing in particular that mashed me up about 1984. Today the newspapers would come out and read, that's the date today, 6th February. 6th February, Oswan slapped Baswan. He's been thrown in prison for 2 months. 9th February 2020, after Oswan has gone and reconciled with the Big Brother, the newspaper for 6th February now is reissued. In fact, all the old copies are called and burnt, and the one of the 9th February is now reissued. In fact, Oswan did not slap Baswan, no. he liberated Balson from his pain of being alone by slapping him into companionship. Therefore, Oswan is a national hero. But the issue was because the central trust had moved from individuals from interaction to Big Brother. And Big Brother now even doesn't have to try anymore. Like, whatever he says, he can write history tomorrow. And that's the whole point. So if you have this machine, it has, worked on your trust issues, it has fed you cognitive dissonance, and you're like, your brain is overwhelmed. Like, no, for our safety, let's keep following this guy. It reaches a point where you won't follow whatever bullshit comes out of that guy.
Paulson, you said before you've accepted your fate.
I mean,
With all this information you have, pain, pleasure, that reward system, endorphins, and all that science, dopamine.
I mean, when I say I accept my fate, I mean there's nothing like I can do about it. Like, I'm in the digital world. I use
Meditate, throw your phone,
digital tools. So if I were to completely try and evade this whole dystopia that is being hyped up, I would have to first of all throw away my smartphone, throw away this watch on my
from
phone,
the perspective of an awakened man, which is not the case for most people. For you, even if they are trying to manipulate you, you'll be like, but what is this nonsense?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
which
saying.
is not most people.
People
Most
don't
people just-
people watch stuff on Facebook
just go
and they
with
No,
things.
just take an example.
Yeah,
of
but
how
I'm
Ancestor-
speaking from my experience.
And
Like,
from your experience, for you,
unfortunately.
you'll be like,
Anyway, I should have.
You-
But I put
do
that
you try-
disclaimer in the beginning.
do you try to give them some resistance, or you're like, you know what?
I mean, no, because first of all, in order for let's say Google search to work very well, they need certain data on me, and it's also beneficial to me that Google search also works very well.
they need certain data, but not all
the
of
app
it.
is tailored to my interests. Then
They
definitely-
need certain data, but
Isn't
not all of
it
it.
affecting your productivity in some way? First of all, on a basic level.
Depends. If you're talking about Instagram, this challenges.
No, because I'm not.
Because this man, I'm told, had refused to leave office because of Wi-Fi on the day of silhouette challenge. Said I must finish all of them.
Another
All of
one
them.
said he had the song coming out of his father's phone.
Okay, I guess. I guess the way I try to regulate it is that I don't know. I guess I don't try to use those apps which are exposed a lot, because my main social media is Reddit. For me,
Which is not so
which is very
intrusive.
anonymous also,
Yes,
and
it's not intrusive.
not a lot of corporations are trying to mine their data.
Are there Reddit influencers?
No, they're right.
It's tight.
you don't even
The way the
use your own
platform is
name.
designed, it's tight to be an influencer on it.
And I really
And people don't
this
use their
concept
own
of
names. There's all
influencer.
sort of weird names.
I thought it's not supposed to be obvious. If you're going to influence me, I thought you're supposed to pretend. But if I know you've been paid to make me like that's a lot of disregard.
Platforms like
But
Twitter,
then again, there are
they-
people who follow these things. They know that people have been paid, but they still get influenced. by
Exactly,
them.
and you see,
That people are saying things they don't
for
really believe
example,
in. I have noticed a trend, a worrying trend on, for instance, Twitter, where somebody dismisses the validity of another's argument based on the number of followers they have.
all like
Somebody makes a point and they say, but you with 10 followers, what can you possibly tell me?
Yes, I did
So,
a homie name attacks basically.
And yet the basis of getting followers is largely jokes.
Mm.
If you can crack nice jokes, people will follow you.
So if you can
me,
steal
I
them.
really people are spending so much time on these platforms doing nothing, utter nothingness, and people feel like if I've put a hashtag, I've done my part. You understand? There's that sense of
the table
fulfill. You feel like you're actually doing something, but you're not
The table you're
doing
shaking in this
anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
For instance, people think that when they tweet Free Bobby Wine, that they
Yes.
have done a very, very strong service. to the
Hey,
nation.
exactly.
I know someone pointed out.
That is
recently.
we are going to
Initially,
have
we knew we knew that this was a
underachievers
pretend thing.
who have overly inflated egos. You understand? They feel like they've done their part. You understand? Because I
Someone
clapped back at
Yeah.
I was in the struggle.
Yeah, we are the people.
Yes,
Someone
which
told me
is
that-
very worrying.
You know, this is a comment I've heard from older men before,
Mm.
and it should not be dismissed because it's true, much as it's going to rub us the wrong way. Someone pointed out that for us, when we were annoyed, we finished our university exams and hopped into the bush. You, when you're annoyed, you loaded data.
You bought a data man from the safety of your father's house.
And even on top of that, when they remove your internet for 5 days, you're helpless. instead of learning that maybe this isn't the best place to continue the struggle, when they allow you back online, you keep fighting the struggle from the same platform. Like, young man, what is wrong with you? And I told him, because you're buying the whiskey, I shall not fight back. Let's drink and keep it going.
But that's the truth. Like, people feel, I don't know, someone called it virtual signaling.
Yeah, but
virtual signaling. People
trying to tell the world that you see I'm a very virtuous.
Yes, but there's
I
nothing
think it is
in that.
inconsequential.
Yes, like
Because the likes of
nothing.
Mandela actually stood up and challenged
Yes,
the
you have to actually go out and do something. Like, get out of your comfort zone. The virtual.
Skin in the game.
No?
Skin in the game. Nicholas Nassim Taleb.
No, I have not.
I read Black Swan. Interesting.
Here's a man called. Is it? No, is it called Black Swan? Skin in the game. There's a character called Fat Tony.
That's Black Swan.
That's Black Swan, right? Okay, I'm confusing them. So Fat Tony is a mobster, but Fat Tony is so the way they set up Fat Tony, the character, he's illiterate, more or less. He's illiterate, he's violent, he's whatever, he's what. But Fat Tony always makes bets against the elites and wins. Not because he's the most sharp guy in the room, but Fat Tony has a rule of thumb. If you see virtual signalers going in this direction, it is wise to go the other direction, because where they're going is just noisemakers following fellow noise makers. And to cultivate the persona of Fat Tony's entire persona is he is not educated, therefore the things that educated people do, he does not feel the need to engage in them. So there's this article of where countries are now pushing out a whole lot of PhD and degree holders, very prestigious, but there is no way to fill them, because PhDs and all those things are largely theoretical. Like, I am a master in this theory, but practical application becomes a bit limited. But so it pays well if the market is thinly saturated with such guys, but if it's oversaturated, so back in our father's days, 1 in 200 guys had a PhD. These days, 200 out of 250 guys had a PhD. So this no longer makes sense. But no one wants to regress back to being Fat Tony because it feels like a step backwards. Me who has read bell hooks, how do you tell me to go back to my mother's silence? But the thing is, you sort of do need to take that step back. So if you're going to make the argument of AI controlling, your choices, you have to learn, okay, if I'm going to detach myself from this, fine, I cannot live in, you cannot fully live. But you need to detach and accept your ignorance on certain issues and be like, yes, I am ignorant on this particular issue. I accept ignorance and I accept that what Google is giving me, because our parents don't trust Google, they will trust Google. Okay, are these things accurate? Me, I don't believe them. But for you, you swear by Mother Google. Them, they don't. So you need to take that step backwards and be like,
they'll probably call their friend who works in what they want to know about. They're like, hey, what happens when a fish does? The guy tells them. You get it.
But because it's your friend telling you yes, remember you have the option of arguing back. Even last time you failed
you played me.
Yeah, but you can't do the same shit to Google. So you either take it or you don't. That's Google's entire baseline.
No, for sure, the systems that will be made from this data gathering, they can be useful, and we want them to be efficient. We want them to learn. That's true, but that's why we need to not give them so much power. Because if the AI has a lot of information on a large group of people,
I think
even if you designed it for a specific role and you made it learn, it will start doing its own shit automatically. It will just start
I think
trying to manipulate people.
Google is just like a directory of some sort. It's not like when you ask like how fast is the cheetah, it's not like it will just pick it from like a reputable source. So
Yeah, but these days they say that thing where they put a picture of a cheetah and they give you a figure. So they are telling you this is it.
Yes, but
They are no longer giving you a link to a website.
That's for very like basic like it's not
Okay, it's for sure it's for things which they are sure about.
and I'm sure they also get that information from
but
reputable sources.
the whole point is.
But like at the end of the day,
Google don't have like
at the end of the day,
to, like,
they are
theorize
saying we
what
know
it is.
this and this is how you should do it.
The way Google's algorithm works, or the last time I checked, backrub, was it goes to the site with the most visits, most viewed. So if you promote your site properly, even if you're selling utter crap.
Yeah, if your SEO, if your SEO is on point.
So it's not that the source they're picking it from is reputable.
But these
we are all agreeing on that point.
Um,
And since we have to be wary of the time factor also, I want to know which recommendations, first of all, which steps are you taking to fight the harvesting of your data? Which steps are you taking? Oh, this regressing back to fact on.
I
in
can't take
terms
any
of-
steps because my entire line of work depends on people giving me their data to advertise to. And that requires, the way Facebook is set up, it requires you to also put skin in the game. But, however, you can take steps to protect yourself. So, the very first thing you need to do is set a baseline. So, go back in time and find reputable people that have, that did the work, put in the time. Read a lot of different people, and eventually you find yourself setting a baseline. So, there are certain points I cannot agree with, or that I would disagree with, or others I'll agree with because they follow the baseline I have. Alright? Yeah, on different fields. Okay, fine. Say Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis, the father of psychoanalysis, right? He has a lot of work on how people think, thought patterns, how truth is derived, how your brain works, right? You agree with some, you don't agree with others. So you work your way up from that baseline, be like, so I've read Freud, I've gone to Jordan Peterson, I've gone to Yuval, what's his name? Harari. I've gone so you keep going to different guys, right? And then now from Freud, there are different guys that operate in also other smaller fields, that, blah, 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 money, relationship. But the baseline is here of, does this fit into this baseline? How can I customize this baseline? Does it suit my wants? The very first step is you set a baseline, all right? And then the more complicated step I think that most people don't take is self-awareness, self-identification. Be aware of who you are. Who am I, right? What do I believe in? What do I stand for? How do I want to design my life? Because the whole point all boils down to someone else is designing your life for you. From these AIs and these algorithms. Someone has the power to design your life for you. But if in your head like, this is what I want to do and this is the sort of life I want to live, and you have a baseline and now you're self-aware and you're like, is the information I'm taking in going to take me closer to where I want to go? The answer is no, disregard
So
it.
on a subconscious level, that's what you're doing.
Yes.
On the physical level, you need to survive. So you're using all these apps.
Which all goes back to my
Yeah, no,
But end of the day.
In summary.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's
What
like
I
a
think.
apologetic poacher. We need to protect this patient.
But I also need to eat.
Yeah. What I think.
On a personal level, Dave, you need that awareness. You need to know this guy is selling me hype here. You get. You can barely trust your own family. Why are you trusting your phone, man? You get, So you need to, you need to know that. You get, because you're using these platforms. They are taking you, and they're taking data from so many people. So you need to know that. Then, I can't say like on the physical level I'm doing anything. All I know, if I was some IT influential position, I would definitely be asking guys, man, you guys just come in here. They are taking what they want. You get it? We need to, even if they break the laws, the law needs to be there. So that if they break, we make money off their breaking of the law. We're like, hey, guy, you are collecting people's sound recordings. We don't do that in 256. First, give us a car. This is a fine. You get it? It's just like people are just doing what they want. You get it? You register an email account with a company. You delete your account, but if you come next year, that account was never deleted. They didn't even try to follow up on that. The account is still active. So such things, I feel like if somehow I get the opportunity to be in such a position, that's the noise but it needs to come from a personal level. You as you need to be making that noise. That as in people who want to be your leaders know, hey man, my guys have a problem with the way their info is just flying out of this place. You get it? So that has in.
Do you have a problem with the way Ashbag Kato's info is flying out of the place?
Apart from being on Reddit, more as your means of social media, you said Reddit. Yes.
Yeah.
No, let me just say before Balsan continues. If I was a person who had the resources and the connections, I would definitely try and set up my own network.
No, but you don't need to. So, right? The way these apps work, yeah? You can, once you accept them or when you're tired of them and want their functionalities on your phone, you can literally go inside your phone, although it takes time and someone with skill, and reprogram the permissions you give these particular apps and get yourself off them.
I mean, you can, but that will.
Some apps don't work when
Yeah,
some
some
permissions
they'll
are
tell
not
you
allowed.
without this permission.
They'll be like,
you
oh,
can't
we can't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but because
We need
yeah.
that microphone, bro. We want to know.
Ah,
We want to know what you're doing
even
at
this,
what you're discussing at 12 a.m.
One of the apps that surprised me actually was this Bobby Wine app for
You vote.
You
YouVote.
Mm.
You could not use it if you never gave it permission to take photos, record video. So
That's
I
also
know
shady.
many people who ended up deleting it because it demanded to be given all those permissions. I was very shocked, but there are very many apps like that will not let you use them if you can't give them permission.
But to take a picture, because you're supposed to take pictures, right?
No, I don't think you have to take within the app. Was that the arrangement? I think you take and upload.
Yeah.
I'm not really too.
You know, all that stuff was made irrelevant. Guys just shut down internet.
Yeah, the man anyway.
Even Gavo siphoned cash to a whole project, uchaguzi, voter information, what only to cut down internet during when you were supposed to be using the app. Man, this is
But I know the gentleman behind it, and I was under the impression that they are not programming people, unless
No,
maybe
they're
I'm
not.
mistaken.
They're not.
Uchaguzi was Ministry of ICT,
Ministry,
so
yeah.
GCIC.
Yeah, just
Yeah, and then masquerade people, oh, you can use this platform to find out where you have to vote, to follow. Then you're like, that's cut off internet. So why did you waste all that money? You get, you know.
Secure your
Not
future.
It's just okay. To be honest, even the whole Reddit thing, it's not like I was like that was my intention. It's just that I found that sites like Facebook and Twitter like echo chambers. So I wanted. And I first
Sense of
wanted a break
privacy.
from those echo chambers. But like I said, what's the term that boy use? Sarah. Like
At the end of the day,
at the end of that day, you can't like the only way you're going to avoid these people like misusing your data is if you like completely disconnect. Of course, I know when you started, it seemed like me. I was okay. I'm not cow the whole. Okay, I understand why people feel the need for like their privacy to be respected, but me what I'm saying, like what realistically speaking, what can be done like about it.
That's a question. That's a very good question. And so on, I'm asking, by the way, so now how do you try to prevent yourself from going full?
I think personally, I have taken some steps. And also acknowledge that.
Not having data is not a step, but
Yeah.
That's what this is.
I believe that there is some information that I don't mind being out there. And so in that case, I don't mind it. But I feel that it will not be safe. It is not enough for me to protect myself if he isn't. Because one day they will control his mind and they will punch me in the face.
Yeah, thank you. That's why we all have to like be.
And I have since come to the conclusion that privacy, as we know it, is a myth. It's a thing of the past, and I don't think
privacy aside, what of free will? There are two
But-
things that
but
play.
now for free
privacy
will,
and
for
free
free
will.
will, I believe that every human being is responsible for their own safety, and nobody can protect you from yourself. It is a
So
self-defeating.
you're not doing
phenomenon.
any. Are you doing anything
To protect other people.
yourself?
To protect myself, of course, yes.
Like what? That's what I'm asking.
But well, I limit what I say. I protect. I've been.
Not having data.
On the issue- on the issue of
No.
permission,
I've also developed a practice whereby I don't go with my phone in certain places. I deliberately choose to say Sunday I will not have my phone with
So
me.
basically, the man has said he has
But
switched
see,
from
that
mixed videos
is
to
what
hands
I'm
and
saying.
phones.
Yeah.
That is what I'm saying. Like, there are people who have withdrawal symptoms. I know certain people who, without their phones for an hour, or
Becomes
so,
an issue.
yes, like their hands start shaking, they
Yeah.
start developing cold
Yeah.
sweats, and the whole 9 yards. So, that is what I.
Were those people
It-
not beaten as children? This seems to be their.
What?
Were those people not beaten as children?
Huh?
That seems to be their.
But
Wow,
these
man,
are
only
habits.
somewhere like 2, 3.
Habit,
These are
bro,
habits you
habit,
pick
it
up,
sounds-
and it's your brain. The dopamine hits
It's your
it
body
takes.
that's tripping.
The
actually.
dopamine hits it takes. You know that, what do they call it? Gratification you get when you have that nice tweet.
Likes,
you know,
active,
when you put that
notifications
picture.
keep coming through.
When you put that picture, you'll start scrolling
It's
your
that
notifications.
dopamine rush.
Yeah, you start
Looking for
figuring
more
it.
likes,
Yes,
looking for-
ga likes are not
trying to-
coming. Ga artists are not coming. You understand? So it's very, very, very. It's an addiction, by the way.
I think, but I think
I just think condition
more can be
is,
done by the
like,
people who manufacture it.
isn't it
than by
inevitable?
ordinary individuals.
It's not nothing
that's
is
what I'm saying.
Like,
inevitable.
can you still
The policies
protect
have to be
people from
placed
being
in place
conditioned?
Yeah.
for
I think that
companies
as an-
and governments
As an
to
individual,
have
you're largely powerless
accountability.
to stop these
Yes.
things.
I think you can.
Like as an on an individual, can you like stop people from like
On an individual level, of course not. But if they see that it's because, let me tell you, even all of us here at some point, I'm sure, didn't know that this was a problem. Like
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
in campus, I would wake up, pull out my phone.
And
Next
scroll.
thing I know, 3 hours have gone. Like I've just been on my Twitter feed like this. 3 hours have gone. And I can't like account for them.
And also, it has largely affected
You understand?
human
because
interaction.
why I'm saying like
There's that also.
People
Human
can come and
interaction.
sit around each other, and
Everyone is on
It's a
their
common phenomenon now.
Yes.
I noticed that even the older generation has been trapped by the same thing. You find the most old guys also scrolling
Even
their phone.
like you go to a place and people are snapping, like instead of actually
Enjoying the
party.
pie.
Yeah, more interested in showing their followers what like they are partying.
guys, this is not an NRM phone. That's the man.
because it's really what I was asking if it's like inevitable, like let's say you have your site Twitter and then like let's say you ban a one Donald Trump and then all his followers leave and then they go to like another website and then they create their own echo chamber and then because that's how people get radicalized when they're in echo chambers and if you cannot completely eliminate the existence of one echo
Because-
chamber then someone will always get conditioned.
Yeah, but-
One-
Because I think that these echo chambers have always existed.
Yeah.
Long before they
Yes.
were
Well,
digitalized.
which is
Even
my
digital,
point.
yes.
Can you prevent someone from being conditioned like in the first place? That's
No,
what
you
I'm saying.
can't.
Like is it?
We
Is
can
it-
try.
Is
We
it
can
inev-
try.
Yeah, I believe we
Of
can
course,
try.
yes, we can try.
Right.
But
Now,
like,
actually,
that's
this
what I'm
has
saying,
made
it's
it easier
inevitable.
because
No, yeah, let's
a
not
person-
make it so easy.
Yeah,
man.
no, and this has even made it easier to stop condition because if I've given my trust to my Google feeds, that it's going to be the one thinking for me which information it will give me.
For
Me,
the
I'm
day.
yes, me, I'm a Chelsea fan.
Mm.
I know as a must,
Yeah.
if Chelsea played yesterday,
They'll show you
they'll bring me the
notifications.
matches.
Yes.
They'll bring me the news for the week, for the day, trainings, press conferences, everything. You understand? Then down maybe like
Yes.
financial things, tech startups and things like that. So in essence, I've given it that power. You understand?
Yes.
I've given it a
Control what you will
chance.
think
Yes,
about
yes,
the day.
yes, which
So
is my point,
conditioning
which
is
my
there,
point.
but good conditioning.
But still like okay, but still like if like let's say I have like this particular political belief, like I'll only receive news like on that belief. I
That
see.
is what we are
And that
saying.
is
That
the
is that is the
problem.
problem.
Because-
that
which-
you want clicks. You don't. For you, what you
No,
want
no.
is clicks.
Yes, but I'm still
So for
getting
them,
my
they'll
point.
post
Which
one negative.
I'm saying the onus is also like on the person, because like I say, people want what confirmation bias. If I'm an Arsenal fan, I'll never want to hear anything about Man
Negative.
United, like or anything negative about Arsenal. If I believe Ronaldo is greater than Messi, and then I go to a list of articles, like let's say after searching it up on Google, I'll most likely click the one where it says that
Ronaldo is the guy.
because it agrees with my narrative. That's what I'm
That's
trying
what
to
But
I'm
yes,
saying.
it
No.
would have been better if you could find new information, new evidence, and you realize that I held the wrong position before.
That's what I'm
And I
saying.
think
The onus is on us.
Yeah,
Like,
but
so
like I
so
said,
the onus is on the individual.
cannot-
like I
That's
said
what I'm
earlier,
trying to
When
say.
we're saying here, we said human beings are largely irrational beings. So you cannot say the owners.
Yes,
owners.
yes,
That
yes.
you cannot put it on the irrational beings. Okay,
You
it
who
is
has
have a
created the
chance.
platform, you know what you're doing.
Yes.
So why don't you?
No, but I disagree.
Balance
hold
the
on.
thing.
I want to agree with him. The onus is on me. All right? Because hold on.
It's
Human
only
beings.
this
Listen,
information
let me
that
finish.
contradicts your narrative.
Listen,
Like
our
that's
time
your
is-
responsibility.
Okay, fine. Yes, we're largely irrational beings, but we also have the capacity of building ourselves to be, better rational beings. All right. So if as a human being, you as a person, you refuse to harness your capacity of making yourself better.
You don't refuse.
It is simple. It is simple.
Why you need to worry about
You're
it
supposed
is
to
one.
fight your
For you
biases.
as a man, you might find a way of preventing them from hacking your mind. But the worry is that they will hack your neighbor.
Yes.
And when they do, he will burn your house.
No,
And
but
so it won't
you
matter
can't-
that-
what I'm saying, you
Why
can't
don't you
help
harness
yourself.
his capability?
Yeah,
You
that
can't-
that he has
I'm
a
saying-
digital run his capability.
Obviously,
It
like
was easy,
these
that's-
governments have a role
it was
to
easy,
play,
that's-
but like we also have to meet them halfway. That's what I'm trying to say.
But
And
not
that- if
everyone
that
will.
may-
Not everyone will.
That's
Yes,
what I'm
but
saying. That's what I'm
that's-
saying. It's inevitable. Like
If we're
some
being-
people
if we're
are
being
inevitably
honest,
going to be
the
conditioned.
Who do you think is in control? The person?
Auntie, yes,
Or-
but
or
we are in
the
the
person
edge.
reading the
We are in the edge of sheep. It has been a long age. It's not boo. It has been 100 years. thousands of years, that's how it has been. Shepherd's sheep.
Yeah.
So, you as the state, if the state says, hey man, you guys, watch your data. What they're showing you on TV is not AIDS adverts because they want more funding from whatever. But they're showing me that, hey bro, that Facebook app, if you as a state you have the measures in place to keep your people vigilant
They'll
about
meet
it,
you halfway.
they will
Yeah.
be vigilant.
You
It's as
see how people have
simple
picked
as
up
that.
VPNs even without you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, not exact, because like I was saying, like if you like a Museveni supporter and you don't like that's the information you'll always seek out.
Not really. Not
Wh- Whether or not Google brings it to you directly, you'll go and look for it
But
yourself.
anyway.
That's my point.
We shall continue this in part 2.
I know.
We shall continue this in part 2. Yes, we shall continue this. As on a final note, are you on Signal?
Yes, I am.
Are you on Signal? Are you on Signal?
No.
Are you on Signal?
Not yet.
Balton, you've really accepted this.
He has really
thing.
accepted.
Take my
Yeah,
data,
he
guys.
has given them.
I don't care.
He has given them.
Yeah, surrender.
It's a transaction. My data for the service. And I'm like,
No. You don't give them for just like
What's up,
that.
effort?
You can't swallow.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like the only way, like you have to completely disconnect. If you don't do that, you're just lying to yourselves.
Also, those ones, Google I surrender.
Take a bit.
Google
I actually stopped using even that Google article list. I stopped, and with time, they say bring irrelevant articles because as in they had nothing to chew on.
But you see
I
now,
was like,
I don't want my
I'm not
experience to
giving
be
you
that.
anything.
I want when I go to my Google News, I want articles that align with
But
my
I want-
interests.
well,
And,
but-
and for that to happen,
But
you
wasn't
need
this
to
the
take
man
my
saying
data.
take responsibility? Wasn't this the man saying take
Yes,
responsibility?
no, but for him, has accepted. No,
Now you are
has
surrendered to the one
He has
narrative,
accepted.
my guy.
He has accepted his
No,
fate.
I'm not saying like in there, like let's say if I like reading about like astrophysics, like I would want Google to know that about me so that when I go
Can
to my
always offer you
newsfeed,
more
yeah, they
information
can,
about-
yeah.
But if I Google one article about Navalny, doesn't mean I hate Putin. I'm a mortal enemy of Putin. I just want to hear
Yes,
Putin.
yes.
Done.
Yes.
Okay, so I have-
Exactly, by the way.
Yes, but
You need to keep it
Yeah.
open.
yes,
And
but
People, it's not all people to do that because, of course, people like me who are aware
it
of what's
is.
going on, I will go and make sure that my feed is not that sheepish. You get? But not everyone's going to do that. So you, as the state, as the companies, as the guys who thousands of people are following blindly, you need to
my
have that
point is that
That
it
clickbait,
doesn't
it is
ultimately
not
matter
always that
because
this is what I want
if
to
you
read.
believe
It is what they think I want to read.
Yes.
And for
You
me,
need to have
my
that
guess-
responsibility.
based on your past search history, so
Yeah.
you're making an educated guess.
Yes, but some of us keep an open mind. We want to learn about both sides. Me, I like
Yes,
I like-
but how do you learn now? By going, you go and seek that
Yes, but if I
information.
Google
That's
one
how you go and do it.
thing here and you presume a bias and you start bombarding me.
with that bias all the time.
Yes.
It's how I even stopped using everything, which is actually why I stopped using Google
But-
News.
Try Signal. Try DuckDuckGo.
Telegram,
Try-
DuckDuckGo,
try
yes.
DuckDuckGo.
Is,
I bet
Yes.
Telegram now allows you to export your chats from other apps into Telegram.
But if you have a smartphone,
yes, I get your
Then
point.
downloading
I
Signal
mean-
and deleting WhatsApp.
I get your.
because-
That's why some of us, our goal is to work towards being a man who is able to be on his own grid, literally.
you have to maybe create some
Hey.
kind of decentralized internet.
But like I said, it is inconsequential if they can engineer your neighbor.
My neighbor,
I'll start with myself.
my neighbor will be a
I'll
tree.
start with myself and I'll educate.
My neighbor
The
will be a
few people
tree
who are
of
going
the
to
grid,
watch
man.
this
I
will also be educated.
I agree. I think it is more important to educate others
Yes,
than
the few people who are going to watch this will educate because the way Europe is squeezing these companies. I think if Facebook was in Uganda,
Australia is taking.
It's
but
a
people
party.
yes, it would be a party. But now people are squeezing them because yeah, you know
But-
what the narrative would be if it was in Uganda. These people are creating jobs.
Why should we regulate?
Why should we?
No, but as you said, it's a white man's problem. The whole issue. It's more of a
No, but Google
in
Facebook-
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You haven't yet reached that self-actualization.
Well, we have people in our government we pay to see those needs for us. That is why
That's what I'm
even
saying.
GMOs
They need to
Yes.
work on that.
Yes, we have people in our government we pay. to
Sensitize
think
your
at that
people,
level.
put policies in place so that as in they are not manipulated like
Guys,
that.
They're doing other things
Guys,
entirely.
guys, I think we shall stop.
Okay.
Peace. Subscribe, you guys.
Subscribe.